of last year, 2023, when Miss McInnes's daughter, who fell asleep on the bus, missed her bus stop, and the bus driver was insisting and demanding that she get off the bus at a stop that wasn't hers. Eliza was 8 years old, and kids are going to be kids. She was scared to get off on the stop because of pit bulls that were outside of it. And you could hear her saying there's dogs on the audio, and the bus driver insisting and demanding that she get out. She's reluctant to get out because she's of course scared, and during that whole thing transpiring, her arm gets caught in the door. The bus driver, Mr. Interlandi, along with the aide, clearly see her arm there. She's saying her arm stuck. The bus driver says she deserves it, essentially. You shouldn't put your hand out there. She's demanding, she's trying to get her arm out of there. The bus driver continues. The lead is stuck in there. I mean, this is a traumatic injury to her left arm for an 8-year-old. He reverses the bus for a while and still refuses to let her arm out. This is all captured on video. Criminal charges were brought afterwards. Unfortunately, for some odd reason, they were dismissed at a preliminary hearing. One thing we're going to be asking for is that the charge be directly indicted. There still is an opportunity for the Horry County Solicitor's Office to directly indict Mr. Interlandi for his actions in driving the bus and trapping her daughter's arm inside the door. That's clearly on video. This happened almost a year ago, right in the beginning of school. Parents should feel that the kids are safe and secure in school, and children should be safe. Children will do things like not want to get off of a bus because they're scared of angry pit bulls. They shouldn't be treated like this. This video and this imagery shows exactly what was wrong about the picture. You have another aide who's there as well, who does not demand that the door be open. Everybody deserves to be treated well, especially kids who are, they're the future. They're our whole life. And when I saw this video as a parent, I was immediately angered. I can't imagine how Ms. McInnes was able to stand and be so calm throughout this entire thing. So we filed this federal lawsuit for civil rights violations of her daughter, along with state court claims for negligence, negligent hiring, negligent retention, and there needs to be, you would assume, anytime there's a bus driver, a teacher, somebody trusted with children, that there's a background check done. During my investigation of this, we found a criminal record, and so I think it's up to the district to have policies and procedures who they feel are people who are fit to have care and custody of our children. If they did a background check and they felt that he was fit, I think they need to review him. If they did not do any background checks and put somebody in charge of a bus with children, that's even more alarming. And so now you understand the basis of the lawsuit that's filed. Everybody should have a copy of it. The public, along the media, have seen the video. Ms. McInnes would like to share some words as a parent about how this made her feel, along with her daughter's grandmother. So Stephanie, feel free. And we'll take some questions at the end as well.
Can you please say and spell your first and last name?
Yes, Stephanie. Stephanie. Floyd McInnes. Floyd Floyd. McInnes, McInnis.
And then, yeah, you're...
So I'm back again to see if we can get something done. I want justice for my daughter. I just find it heartbreaking that this happened and nothing has come of it for Mr. Interlandi. And I just keep thinking about how my daughter's feeling, what my daughter's going through. Only she knows, I can try to understand it, but I don't quite understand how PTSD works. I don't really, all I can do is comfort my child and assure her that nobody's going to hurt her, not knowing, really what it's going to be from day to day when she get on the bus, because it's always that moment where she's distraught and crying and she don't want to get on the school bus, so I'm having to take that time out of the morning to take her. It's not easy. It is not easy. I just want the charges to be pressed against Interlandi, and we go on to get my daughter help as we've been doing, and just continue with the counseling for her.
And one thing I like to add, this is an example of how often the system is failing our kids. The criminal justice system allowed these charges to be dismissed. This could have been easily indicted, presented to a grand jury before we're at this moment. And then you have the school system right here, who I believe failed Ms. McInnes' daughter in even allowing Mr. Interlandi to drive that bus on the day in question. And Ms. McInnes, I commend her for having the courage to really grab the wheels of justice, try to get something done. This is not her first time demanding justice and accountability, and she's now has brought this federal lawsuit against Horry County Schools along with the bus driver to really get some justice and accountability here. So this is not something the average person does a lot. They don't know they have the opportunity to do this. It should be a situation where the solicitor's office, the government, and the school system are there to protect kids. But unfortunately, Ms. McInnes has had to take this route. We're happy to answer questions that y'all may have for us.
Have you received any sort of apology response from Horry County Schools or the bus driver?
There's been no apology, no response, and if anything, I know that Ms. McInnes has discussed with me an opportunity when the bus driver actually emboldened after the charges were dismissed. And somewhat embarrassing as a mother to go to court to see that happen. So no, there's been no apology from the school district. There's been no apology from the driver.
For the fact that he did this and they just let this go without any prosecution towards this man is ridiculous. It's appalling. I feel like this man is sitting behind the desk and along with the rest of the school district sitting behind the desk laughing at us like it's okay. My granddaughter was hurt. Not only her arm was hurt, but she was scared. She's still scared. And I don't think it's right that he should get away with this. It makes me cry. When I ran down there to that bus stop, I couldn't get down there fast enough because he pulled off before I could get down there. My baby come to me crying, holding her arm. And I think they're laughing at us, and it's wrong. It could have been one of their kids. That's one of them that's sitting behind that desk laughing. But God's eyes is not closed, and this is not over. We will get justice for my granddaughter. We're going to get it soon. One way or another, either by them or by God's will.
Could you also please say and spell your first and last name for the record?
My name is Mona Lisa, M-O-N-L-I-S-A, Graham, G-R-A-H-A-M. Thank you.
And for both, would either of you like to talk about the impacts that it has had on your daughter or your granddaughter? How her day has changed? The school year is about to come up. Does she have any fears or reservations she's expressed to you ahead of the start of school?
If my daughter had it her way, she would want for me to take her to school every day, pick her up every day. I can't. I cannot. It's only 1 week, you know. I'm not because I tell her, Liza, I have to, go to work, or Liza, I have to go to school. And then the other kids would definitely want the same treatment, so I can't. And we get the pep talk. I do the little sessions that I was supposed to do for her. And sometimes it works, sometimes it just don't. I just never know when she's going to have an episode. And it makes it hard on everybody, especially her throughout her day. And the teachers trying to help her cope and everything. When she shut down, she shut down. And it's just, sometimes there's no getting her back up and going.
And you mentioned you were getting her help. Are you doing things for mental and emotional help like therapy? And have you also done anything physically for the repercussions of the injury she sustained in the door?
So I'll answer some of those questions. So she is seeking therapy. She's already undergone some therapy. And with her being so young, there's no telling how this will affect her as time goes. Just on the emotional and mental aspect, whether that causes some behavioral challenges, whether she's less trustful of authority, whether she's more timid in speaking. I mean, there's no telling the list of things that's going to affect her. As far as physically, yes, it was a traumatic injury to her left arm. She sought medical attention immediately. There was diagnostics done regarding it. So she was in pain in her arm for a while, and there's some permanent injury there as well. So this is a serious situation, not just from the physical standpoint, and I would think just the sheer people seeing this wondering how it happened, but also think about the little girl here who's a kid whose arm got stuck in something and how this is affecting her emotionally, psychologically. Not just her, but her mother as well. You just heard her say that she wished she had the opportunity to be able to take her child to school every day. I mean, I have a child. I love taking my child to daycare in the morning. But unfortunately, people have to work. People have their lives, and they should be able to trust that their kid can get on the bus without thinking their bus driver is going to treat them like an animal.
And you mentioned those criminal charges against the bus driver were initially dropped. Can you explain why or why not? Would you have continued to file this lawsuit calling for those indictments to re-arise if those charges were never dropped?
Well, one thing I always recommend is there being full justice and accountability. You have the civil justice system, but you also have the criminal justice system. The state versus Thomas Michael Interlati, that was the case. And that right there is the government pressing charges against somebody who's violated our laws. And so right there on that end, it was dismissed at a preliminary hearing, which means if there's probable cause, the judge can dismiss it or not dismiss it. When it's dismissed, the solicitor's office has an opportunity to directly indict it, present the case and the facts to a grand jury to see if they will indict it. So they still had an opportunity. It's been about several months now since it was dismissed. And so what Ms. McInnes is seeking for her daughter is full justice and accountability. The criminal justice system is only prosecuting the driver. Now what the school district's role in this is, and their responsibility is something they need to be held accountable for as well, as far as the long-term harm and damage that's been done to Ms. McInnes' daughter. So everybody needs to be held not just criminally responsible, this is the criminal setting, but also civilly for the damages, the emotional, psychological, and physical harm, not just to the daughter, but to Ms. McInnes as well.
You mentioned that you found some criminal history in this case and that you wish that the school either didn't do or disregarded a background check. What in that criminal history would have prevented him, do you think, from being on that bus that day?
So I can't give all that information. It's public information. So I would recommend that people look into it. But when you're looking at people who are cared with the custody of a child, you have to be very particular when you're looking at that background. You don't want anything that shows that they may not be trusted with the authority of being over children or with the control of a bus. And so criminal history and behavior history is really important because you never know when a situation where temperament, thought processing, judgment, decision making is important. So I think all that, if you would have looked at the background, I think there could have been some other qualified candidates who've been better fit to serve, to drive that bus on that day.
And also, say for instance, right now today, if we get pulled over by the police without our child in a safety belt, we would automatically get a ticket. If we get caught riding down the road with our child arm out the door, stuck in the door, we would go to jail. So why hasn't the same treatment been done to him? Why hasn't he been prosecuted for this child, what he did to this child? Because as a parent, as any parent, we would be prosecuted with quickness. They wouldn't hesitate to prosecute us. I don't understand what is the difference.
I don't see it either. I think that's really important that it's on video. You see it. If Ms. McInnes put her daughter's hand in the door, shut it, put it on Facebook Live, they will find her and their prosecutor, and there's no way it will be dismissed at a preliminary hearing. And if some judge dismissed at a preliminary hearing, I guarantee you will be presented to a grand jury already. And so this shows right here, I mean, this is why we had to bring this lawsuit, why we having press conferences to raise awareness of this, what it looks like to be a two-tier justice system. You're seeing something on video live in front of your eyes that's getting swept under the rug. There's no reason why this little girl should be with her arm stuck in a bus door, driving, and nobody be held accountable. No apologies to Ms. McInnes. Parents can't do this. They will lose custody of their child. DSS will come remove the child, place them with somebody else. But in this situation, there seems to be no accountability.
Is she still a student in Oregon County Schools?
She's no longer a student in Oregon County schools at this moment. One of the reasons why that Ms. McInnes was looking to relocate was because of her experience with Oregon County. And no parent, a tax-paying citizen, should feel like they can't have faith in their public school system.
In reference to the pit bulls in question here, in relation to the bus, whereabouts were they located?
So her daughter could see the pit bulls. Now, remind you, this isn't her bus stop. She fell asleep. So the bus driver's telling her to get out here. So she's already a child. It's an unfamiliar setting. She's saying, there are dogs, which are towards the left. And so at first, the driver's saying there's no dogs out there. There are no dogs. Once she realizes there are dogs, he says, oh, your mom's right there. Your mom's right there. Miss McInnes wasn't there, and the child knows who her mother is. And so she wasn't getting off of the bus. So the pit bulls were right near, and she was scared. The aide could have said, let me go out there with you. Let me hold your hand, make sure you can get out. But the aide's right there, telling her to get out. These are adults. This is the kid who's trying to figure things out. And so there's plenty, if her fear for some reason was irrational, let's say the dogs were behind 2 fences and there was a chain, well, an adult could have easily got off, say, hey, look, this is fine, you can walk right to your house. None of that happened. Instead, she had her arm lodged between the door and went in reverse and was punished essentially for being a scared kid.
And when they reversed, did they reverse back to her original stop, or how far away was the stop from the original?
They didn't take her back to the original stop. They took her midway and let her off, I guess, so that whoever was back there could not see her, that he had her arm in the door.
They took her far enough where she wasn't around the dogs, because these dogs are vicious. I know these dogs. And where they try to put her off at the stop at, it's right in front of the house of these dogs. That's why most parents be up there with their car to get their child. They don't let their child walk home from that stop. That's why you see all the cars up there waiting on their child, because they know them dogs is there. You don't even walk that way because of the dogs. You don't call the dog pound so many times, and they got record of it, about these dogs. You know, so no way she was going to get off right there knowing how those dogs is. Like that's it.
She don't care if it's a puppy like this. She's afraid of dogs.
And you see the cars there for some parents in the video. You can see parents walking up to the kids for that reason.
Is there anything that you feel that we haven't covered, talked about, that is important to add to the conversation?
I think a real important piece to the conversation is that the public understands that this was not dismissed by a jury, right? It never went to a jury of anybody's peers who found Mr. Interlani not guilty. It was dismissed by a magistrate judge at a preliminary hearing, and the county has an opportunity to still bring criminal charges against Mr. Interlani, and they could present it to a grand jury. Parents should not have to feel like there's nothing they could do. There's nothing that can do, that their elected solicitor, that the prosecutor's office, that the police department is not taking seriously their rights and their kids' safety and sending a message. What type of message does this send to people who may be emboldened, who don't really need to be over anybody's kids, that they can do whatever they want? Was this corporal punishment? Was this punishing her daughter for being scared? There's so many messages I think the public needs to see, and I think one aspect of the story should be, why wasn't this presented to a grand jury? And if the opportunity still is there for it to be presented to a grand jury, and also if there's additional criminal charges that could be brought outside of the one charge that they charged them with, because there's others. You can have, unlawful neglect of a child. You can have, cruelty to a child. There's plenty of charges that could have been done. There could have been possibly even been an assault charge that was added here. None of those were added. So I think it's important that the public understand the full justice aspect of it. The criminal justice system and the civil justice system. Ms. McInnes has brought this case as a parent because the system has failed her and she has every right to do so. But the criminal justice system still has the opportunity to do something. And that's one part of Ms. McInnes' demand.
I didn't even get a fair hearing. I didn't even get invited to the hearing.
Was there any sort of reason given at any point for why those charges were dismissed?
Usually at these preliminary hearings, you say there's lack of probable cause, and probable cause isn't beyond a reasonable doubt. Is it likely than not that a crime occurred? Everybody saw this video, and they could see that this was wrong, what occurred. And so, a preliminary hearing, there is no, the officer testifies as to what the probable cause was for the arrest. I wasn't present at the preliminary hearing, and Ms. McInnes wasn't afforded an opportunity to be present at the preliminary hearing. She learned about the incident. She learned about being dismissed for lack of probable cause. But grand juries can also still find probable cause, not just a magistrate at a preliminary hearing.
And also, even if they dismiss it because it was an accident, and shown in this video, it was clearly not no accident, because if it was an accident, why would he drop her off? He would say she deserved it. Why would you say she deserved it if you didn't mean to do it? Because you meant to do it.
And you lied.
Yeah.
You meant to do that. Because all you had to do is say, I'm sorry, baby, I didn't mean to do that. But you say she deserved it. And that's the part that gets me right there.
You shouldn't have put your hand out there. So it clearly was intentional. It was not an accident.
And Ms. McInnes, as a mother, can you just touch more on how it's affected you over this past year and what it still means for your daughter and your family?
Since the day happened, it's been very exhausting, and I've been, trying to control my anger, trying to bury my anger. I don't want my daughter to see me like this, I don't want her to see there's something wrong every time I have to, bring this up or see the video. And I try to, make like everything is good. Everything is good. And when she's sad, I'm sad too. But most of all, I try to put the best on the outside for her because it's not easy. I have 4 kids, okay? But with Liza, it just takes a different type of time with Liza. Since this happened, I can't say it's easy. I can't say it's easy.
You could hear in the video the aide said we could take her back to the school. Would that have been an acceptable mode of action rather than backing up with her arm in the door? Would that have been acceptable?
Yes. Clearly. Anything other than doing this would have been acceptable rather than punishing her, leaving her arms lodged in the door, telling her you shouldn't have put your hand out there.
No child deserves this.
No child deserves that.
As simple as taking her back to the school, and if they would have took her back to the school, you do not know that they would have called DSS on her for us for neglect because they had to take the time to take her back to school and nobody was there to pick her up. So we would have got in trouble also. But this man get no kind of punishment. None. But we would have got punishment just for the simple fact that they had to take her back to the school and nobody was there present. We would have got charged for neglect. Easy. So either way it goes, if they took her back to the school, we would have been in trouble. But if he put her arm and lock her arm in that door, he'd get away with it.
And didn't report it. He did not report this to the administrator. They just went about their day, their weekend. I had to reach out on Facebook to a person that I thought was an administrator still with Horry County, but they're not. But they did point me to the right person. But I had to reach out on Facebook Messenger for help. And that Monday, the principal called Monday morning, and she was like, "I'm so sorry." And they both apologized, and they both told me to come in and see the tape. And they was like, "You're not going to be happy about this. I'm not happy about this for you, and I'm sorry."
We know that the bus driver resigned on, I believe it was sometime after August 28th. And have you all had the opportunity to see that resignation letter? Was there any sort of remorse in that resignation for what happened?
We have not had an opportunity to see the resignation letter. I think that he should not have even been given the opportunity to resign. He should have been terminated immediately. He should have been terminated, and Horry County should put out a statement saying as to why conduct by teachers and anybody who has supervision over children like that is unacceptable. And they should have asked the criminal justice system, the solicitor's office, to pursue criminal charges. That's what they should have did. That's what should have happened immediately about Horry County. I mean, they have to send a message. It doesn't need to come from anybody else. No resignation. These messages have to be sent by the government here. It needs to be anything, whether it's a police officer who does something, an employee who's embezzling funds. When something happens like this, they need to go outright and send a message, especially when you have video evidence of it. This isn't allegation. This isn't two sides of the story. There's audio, there's video. And so I don't understand why he was given the opportunity to resign. He should not have had an opportunity to resign. He should have been terminated. It should have been an apology.
Ms. McGinnis, can you just say your first and last name again?
Yes, I'm Stephanie Floyd McInnes. Stephanie STEPHANIE. Floyd McInnes. Floyd FLOYD. Then we have McInnes MCINNIS. It's so long.
And that is hyphenated, correct?
No, it's not, but some people hyphenate it.
What would you prefer?
Not to be hyphenated.
Any other questions?
Any other fleeting thoughts from you all?
No, I appreciate y'all raising awareness about this. I think it's important that people know about it, and that with the school year coming up too, that parents understand that they should feel safe and secure as taxpayers with their kids going to public schools, riding buses, and hopefully Horry County School District, Horry County Schools, and everybody does what they should, and that Ms. McGinnis gets full justice and accountability, which she deserves. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.